That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to give a final roundup of the 2022 Berlin International Film Festival, the 72nd edition.
Yes. It's a little delayed.
Yes.
Because we both have COVID.
Uh-huh.
And I don't sound right.
Kind of knocked us out for a little bit.
It really did. But getting better.
Yeah, I got home Saturday, and then Friday night I had an antigen test and a PCR test and tested negative. And then Monday of this week, there she was.
And then you passed that shit on to me.
Yep.
But let's talk about... So we already have a video about your first few days in Berlin. Mm-hmm. So we don't need to talk about the protocol and such. I'm just curious what some of your favorites from the festival were. Any surprise hits. And then maybe something you were really disappointed in.
Okay. Well, I did prepare a top 10.
A top 10. Well, let's make it quick.
So this was, I think overall, this was kind of a weak edition based on the competition. But, the selection was very much based around the fact that this is, taking place during a pandemic, which explains why there weren't a lot of like Hollywood or studio features, which kind of attract the red carpet glitz. A lot of the Euro red carpet people got COVID and couldn't come, like Isabelle and Isabelle Huppert, of course, who was supposed to be given she was given the Lifetime Achievement Golden Bear, tested positive the night before she was supposed to arrive, and so was presented that award remotely. So it was very much that kind of vibe going on. Overall, I personally was a little cool about the competition overall, and was actually a lot more impressed with the Encounters sidebar, which also is a competitive sidebar since the change of the guard in 2020. But yeah, I don't know.
If you don't know, okay.
The winning Golden Bear winner was Alcarràs, a Catalan film, sophomore film from the director Claire Simón, which was a good film. Immediately after seeing it on the last day of press screenings for competition, I felt that would probably win because it's a film like there's nothing ostensibly wrong with it, and for what it is, it's very well done, but also nothing new. So it's not surprising to me that this was probably, based on all of the films, what the jury, which was presided over by M. Night Shyamalan, could best agree on. So this did not surprise me that this won. Of the 9 awards, 7 of them went to women. Berlin is the first major film festival that has taken away the gendered acting prizes, interestingly as well. I'm very happy that Claire Denis won Best Director for Both Sides of the Blade. That's in my top 10. But I was very intensely disappointed with the film that won the lead acting award and Best Script, which was the Andreas Dresen Rabiye Kurnaz versus George W. Bush, which is basically the family-friendly version of something like The Mauritanian. Hated it. Absolutely hated it. I was so frustrated with that film and how clunky and awkward and kind of just obvious in every direction. I felt the lead performance was completely monotonous. And there were so many pretty damn good performances, especially by women across the competition, and that was what they chose to award. I was disappointed in.
Let's get into your top 10.
First of all, I have an honorable mention for 2 films that I didn't like a lot of what they were doing, but they took risks that were interesting, including AEIOU, A Quick Alphabet of Love. This was had the most divisive reaction amongst people I talked to, because I kind of had a small crush on the film, especially for the lead performance by Sophie Roy. It was kind of like a Glenn Close looking woman. You saw her in that movie Tom Tickver's 3, where that straight couple invite a man in for a 3-way back in 2010. Anyway, that had some real cringeworthy moments, but by the last third, I really did like it. It has kind of a contemporary Harold and Maude feel to it.
How many movies did you see at this festival?
About 50.
And how many movies did you see in 2021?
Oh, I don't know, 600, something like that.
Okay, when I asked you to do a top 10 with 600 films, you can do it, but with 50, you have to have honorable mentions.
Anyway, well, I usually like honorable mentions. You just didn't tell me ahead of time I couldn't have them. And I also liked...
well, you have 10 minutes to do this video. Go ahead.
Well, stop interrupting me. The opener of the film was Francois Ozon's Peter von Kant, which is a remake of The Bitter Tears of Petra von Kant, which you've seen, and is kind of one of my top 10 of all time. So I went in, especially because I haven't really liked a lot of Ozon's films lately, I went in really not wanting to like it, and it gets there. I had a really hard time getting into the Denis Minochet over-the-top performance, and I kept thinking that this would have been a great project for Divine.
She's gone.
And Isabelle Adjani looks great and comes in to do some things. And Hannah Scheigele comes back and as his mother. But basically he crafts Petra von Kant as kind of a fictional biopic about Fassbinder himself, which has a lot of really interesting things about it. And I also really like the look of it. Anyway, at number 10, I had a Russian film called Brothers in Every Inch. A Russian film, I believe the second film from Alexander Zolotukhin, and it's about these twin brothers who both want to be fly jets, and each one of them is kind of skilled a little better than the other one, but it kind of has this homoerotic love angle between both of them because they're like extremely codependent, but I kind of wish it had pushed the envelope a little bit more in some areas, but I did really like it. At number 9, I had Passengers of the Night by Mikhaël Herz, a French film starring Charlotte Gainsbourg and Emmanuel Béart, who's playing this kind of fabulous Marlene Dietrich type radio host of this overnight radio show called Passengers of the Night. 1980 set, kind of a nostalgic, very easygoing, maybe even a tad sentimental film with a nod to Rohmer's films of the 1980s that I just really liked and has some nice emotional moments in it. At number 8, I have kind of a controversial, because a lot of people that I talked to hated this movie, but it's called Grand Jeté by Isabelle Stever. It's based on a novel that I would assume kind of reads a lot like Elfriede Jelinek, but it's about this aging ballerina whose teenage son comes back into her life, who she hasn't really reared. He was kind of raised by his grandmother, and they end up having a very intense sexual relationship, and then she has his child. And it plays very much like there's like masturbation with scissors and lots of really extreme dysfunction. It's, one of those happy German films. But I found myself oddly attracted to it, especially Sarah Nevada Grether, the lead actress, I thought was pretty striking. I think that it kind of drops us a little too randomly into these characters' lives without some kind of characterization, and it feels like a lot of shock value moments, but I liked it. Number 7, another really unhappy German film called The Death of My Mother, and as the title indicates, is really this woman in a bed that in Germany, assisted euthanasia is not allowed, so basically it's this woman living in a care facility that's refusing to eat, but they have to offer her food every day, and just her daughter's experiences watching her mother deteriorate for 2.5 hours. But really well done, especially from the two leads. At number 6, I have Mutzenbacher by Ruth Beckman, which was in the Encounters and won the top prize there. I had not been familiar. It's a documentary, and it's about a film. It's about a 1906 erotic text called Josephine Mutzenbacher, the story of a Viennese whore as told by herself. It's an anonymous publication, but a lot of people credit it towards Felix Salten, who wrote Bambi. And it's this documentarian having all these men come in, almost all of them straight, and reading passages of these texts, and then kind of also sharing experiences of their own sexual awakenings. It's just very interesting, and obviously not for everybody, but I found it very enlightening. At number 5, I have the Claire Denis film, Both Sides of the Blade. While its narrative is pretty basic, I think Vincent Lindon and Julia Binoche give awesome performances, especially Binoche. Number 4, Bertrand Bonello's Coma, which also a lot of it had some divisive reactions. And it's basically, I think in a play, like an essay film. It's kind of a love letter to his teenage daughter during the pandemic and what she must have been going through. But then it takes like all these weird left turns about how she's seeing these visions in her sleep that are bleeding over into her reality. And there's things with Barbie dolls that are very Todd Haynes, Karen Carpenter. Yeah, I liked it. Number 3, Axiom by Jönsson, a German film about a very disturbing sociopath, but without any kind of real aim. Really great lead performance. I quite enjoyed that. And number 2, I'll send you a picture that I sent my friend who also saw this film about how I felt.
Who's your friend?
His name's David.
I don't know that person.
Oh my god. About how, because he was the only other person I talked to that watched the
I
film.
don't know any of your friends actually, but go ahead.
Anyway, it's a film from Kazakhstan by Askar Uzabayev, and the lead performance by Laura Mirzakamtova is really hard to watch, but also she has these couple of scenes set to Vivaldi's Winter that are hypnotic and transfixing, and it's about misogyny in Kazakhstan, and it was very difficult to get through, but very memorable. And there's a scene with the hammer. I feel like there are things in this that there should be a warning ahead of time that you're going to see extreme violence against women. And my number 1 selection was Rimini, directed by Ulrich Seidel, which was in the competition, went home empty-handed. If you know Austrian filmmaker Ulrich Seidel's work, this will not disappoint in the least. Fantastic lead performance. This was originally a 4-hour cut that he has changed into this saga of 2 brothers, and the second part is going to come out, I think, later this year, hopefully, called Sparta. But yeah, in a nutshell, that's my...
Did you say your number 2?
Yeah, Happiness, which
Oh.
you interrupted me about Friends.
Oh, okay. Anything else?
No, that's it.
We have a podcast. Check it out.
Mm-hmm.
We have a P.O. box. Send us things. Oh, well, we already have been sent things that I forgot to wear.
Oh, and I had a layover in Helsinki.
Oh, yeah.
I was at an espresso house, and a lovely young woman came up to me, recognizing me from Fish Jelly. We sat and had a nice half-hour conversation. Her name was Maria, a Russian living in Finland, and that was a nice experience.
The aforementioned things will be listed in the description below, and that's all we have. Bye.
Bye.